The abolition of feudalism during the French Revolution marked one of the most transformative moments in European history. This monumental event, primarily encapsulated in the dramatic Night of August 4th, brought about the dissolution of centuries-old privileges and hierarchical structures that had defined the Ancien regime. The decisions made that night signaled the dawn of a new social and political order, not only in France but as a model for revolutions worldwide. This article delves into the historical context, the events of that historic night, and the immediate and long-term consequences of this revolutionary act. The context. France on the brink of revolution. By the late 18th century, France was teetering on the edge of collapse. The Ancien regime, which divided society into three rigid estates, the clergy, first estate, the nobility, second estate, and the commoners, third estate, was under immense strain. The first and second estates, which represented a small fraction of the population, enjoyed privileges such as exemption from taxes and exclusive rights to land and positions of power. In contrast, the third estate, comprising peasants, urban workers, and the burgeoning bourgeoisie, bore the brunt of taxation and feudal obligations. France's financial crisis exacerbated these tensions. Years of war, extravagant royal spending, and the inefficiencies of the feudal tax system had drained the royal treasury. By the 1780s, the state faced bankruptcy. King Louis XVI's attempts to reform the tax system met fierce resistance from the nobility, leading to the convening of the Estates General in May 1789, the first such meeting in 75 years. The Estates General quickly devolved into a battleground for competing visions of France's future. The Third Estate, frustrated by their lack of representation, declared itself the National Assembly in June 1789, asserting sovereignty over the French people. The subsequent storming of the Bastille on July 14th symbolized the revolutionary fervor sweeping the nation. Yet, while these events were dramatic, they had not yet dismantled the feudal system that oppressed the majority of the population. Feudalism and its burdens. Feudalism in 18th century France was not merely an outdated relic of the medieval past, but a deeply entrenched system that shaped the lives of millions. The peasants, who formed the majority of the population, were subjected to various feudal dues and obligations. These included corvée labor, unpaid work on roads and other infrastructure, banalités, fees for using the lord's mill or oven, and cents, annual rent paid to landowners. The burden of these dues was compounded by the oppressive structure of land ownership. Nobles in the church owned the majority of arable land, leaving peasants with little more than subsistence-level plots. Moreover, the feudal judicial system favored lords, further entrenching inequality. The result was widespread resentment and a growing desire for change among the rural population. The night of August 4th, a revolution in action. The summer of 1789 saw escalating unrest in the French countryside, known as the Great Fear. Rumors of aristocratic plots to suppress the revolution led peasants to rise up against their lords. They burned chateaux, destroyed feudal records, and refused to pay dues. This wave of violence and defiance sent shockwaves through the National Assembly, which was already grappling with the broader revolutionary agenda. On the evening of August 4th, 1789, the National Assembly convened to address the crisis. What began as a discussion of rural unrest quickly transformed into one of the most radical moments of the revolution. A series of speeches and proposals, many delivered with dramatic flair, called for the abolition of feudal privileges. The Viscount de Noailles and the Duc d'Aiguillon, both members of the Second Estate, led the charge by voluntarily renouncing their own feudal rights. Their speeches inspired a cascade of declarations from other deputies, including representatives of the clergy and the Third Estate. Noble after noble stood up to renounce their privileges, including hunting rights, exemptions from taxes, and monopolies on certain offices and land ownership. By the early hours of August 5th, the Assembly had adopted sweeping resolutions. 1. The abolition of feudal dues and obligations. 2. The end of the seigneurial justice system. 3. The elimination of the tithe, which had supported the clergy. 4. The removal of privileges based on birth. 5. The commitment to draft a new constitution that would ensure equality before the law. Let me know if you need further assistance. While these decisions were not immediately implemented in their entirety, they marked a symbolic break with the past. The resolutions were later formalized in a series of decrees and incorporated into the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, adopted on August 26, 1789. The immediate impact. The night of August 4th was a turning point in the French Revolution, but its implementation faced significant challenges. The abolition of feudal dues, for instance, was not immediate. Some obligations were abolished without compensation, while others required payment, leading to continued unrest among peasants. It was not until 1793, during the radical phase of the revolution, that feudalism was completely eradicated without conditions. Nevertheless, the symbolic power of the event was immense. The renunciation of privileges by the nobility and clergy demonstrated a commitment to the principles of equality and solidarity that the revolution espoused. It also signaled the end of the Ancien regime as a social and political system, paving the way for the creation of a new France based on the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Long-term consequences. The abolition of feudalism had profound and lasting effects both in France and beyond. Domestically, it laid the groundwork for a more equitable society. The end of feudal privileges dismantled the hierarchical structures that had defined French society for centuries, creating a more level playing field for the emerging bourgeoisie and peasantry. The night of August 4th also had a significant ideological impact. It demonstrated the power of collective action and the willingness of revolutionaries to pursue radical change. These lessons resonated with revolutionary movements across Europe and the Americas, inspiring similar efforts to dismantle feudal and colonial systems. However, the transition was not without challenges. The loss of feudal dues deprived many nobles and clergy of their income, leading to resistance and counter-revolutionary movements. Moreover, the economic and social changes unleashed by the revolution created new inequalities and tensions, which would continue to shape French society in the years to come. The abolition of feudalism on the night of August 4th, 1789, was a watershed moment in the French Revolution. It marked the end of the Ancien regime's oppressive social and economic structures and set the stage for a new era of equality and justice. While the process of implementing these changes was fraught with challenges, the symbolic and ideological impact of that historic night cannot be overstated. It remains a testament to the transformative power of revolutionary action and the enduring quest for a fairer society.